MMA Boxing Talk here. This video is going to be about potential fights in the UFC in 2018. I'm going to go through each division and talk about, the main top contender, top five potential matchups in 2018. Now, obviously, I don't have a crystal ball. I can't predict exactly what's going to happen, but if I was the matchmaker, this is what I would do, basically. So I'm going to go through the divisions. A lot of these fights are going to be no-brainers, but some, obviously, it all depends on what happens in certain divisions. So we're going to start off with flyweight. Of course, there's a super fight on the horizon. Not official at all, but it sounds like both parties are trying to get this done with the UFC, and that is Demetrious Mighty Mouse Johnson versus TJ Dillashaw, the flyweight champ versus the bantamweight champ. A legit super fight. Two of the best pound for pound fighters in the world. This fight needs to happen. DJ needs to get tested. He broke Anderson Silva's record. Hats off to him. He did it in a spectacular fashion with the submission of the year, possibly the best submission in UFC history. Just sensational. But TJ Dillashaw would be a very, very interesting matchup. A very, very tough test for DJ. I would assume that, I don't know if anything's out yet, but I would think that TJ would be the favorite in that fight. Anyway, moving on. Another fight I want to see at flyweight that would be very, very guaranteed and more fireworks is Joseph Benavidez versus Henry Cejudo rematch. Their first fight was an amazing fight. A lot of people thought, including myself, Cejudo did enough to win. The judges gave it to Benavidez. Hats off to him. I want to see the rematch. That'd be a great fight. Bantamweight. Bantamweight's an interesting one because who does Dominick Cruz fight? Who does Cody Garbrandt fight? Who does TJ Dillashaw fight? Is TJ going to get the fight with Mighty Mouse? If he doesn't, maybe he'll fight Jimmie Rivera. But I think that fight's going to happen with Mighty Mouse. So I think Rivera, a bantamweight, might get screwed out of this. He was supposed to fight Dominick Cruz anyway, but that whole fiasco, Lineker pulls out as well. I could see Cody Garbrandt fighting Jimmie Rivera for a title eliminator. The winner gets a shot at the championship. Garbrandt Rivera, I could very well see that happening. If Rivera fights Dillashaw, let's just say, I could see Garbrandt Cruz rematch happening. And another fight that, would be a very interesting fight. Two Brazilians for that matter. John Lineker versus Marlon Moraes, I think would be an amazing fight. Lineker Moraes. But yeah, that's interesting. It all depends on what happens with TJ if he fights DJ, right? So bantamweight's interesting. That one, I can't wait to see how that unfolds. Featherweight, you got Max Holloway versus Frankie Edgar. That should happen in the second quarter of 2018. So you're looking at April, May, or June, somewhere around there should happen. Amazing fight. Brian Ortega, what does he do next? Not sure. Moving on to lightweight. Another question mark division, of course. Conor McGregor. What's he going to do? Is he going to... I made a video about this yesterday. Go check out my video. It's called The Conor, Tony, Khabib Saga. And anyway, what's going to happen? I'm not sure. Is Conor going to defend his title? If he defends his title, he has to fight Tony Ferguson, who is the interim champion. The whole point of an interim champion is when the champ comes back, he has to fight the interim. So it would be Conor, Tony. Or Conor gets stripped, or he vacates the title, whatever it is, and you'd have Tony versus Khabib for the real championship. Who knows what's going to happen? But another fight that I'd like to see, both guys coming off of a loss, Justin Gaethje versus Kevin Lee. I think that'd be an interesting matchup. Two young guys, two guys that are, Their next fight is very, very crucial. You don't want to lose two in a row. And if Conor happens to defend his title and fights Tony Ferguson to unify the belts, then maybe Khabib fights Eddie Alvarez, because Khabib said he wanted to fight 3 times next year. I'm not sure that's going to happen. I mean, if Conor fights Tony, he's just going to probably wait and fight the winner in the fall after Ramadan. I don't know if he fights Eddie in a warm-up fight. Maybe he does. I don't know if Eddie takes that fight. Whatever. But Khabib-Eddie would be an interesting matchup. Moving on to welterweight. Woodley. Who does Woodley fight when he comes back? I think there's 2 guys that deserve this shot more than anyone else in that division. Obviously, Wonderboy is not in contention. He lost already twice to Woodley. I mean, he got a draw once. But anyway, RDA or Colby Covington deserves the next shot. So I'm not sure who's going to get it. Probably RDA, because he's a former champion, and that'd be a great fight. But I think Covington honestly deserves it, as much as people want to shit on him. He beat Damian Maia, and he's not a perfect fighter. He has holes in his game, but I mean, he beat Maia definitely very convincingly, and that goes a long way. I mean, let's not forget, Maia was on this crazy streak. No one could touch him, making everyone look like a complete joke. And Covington went in there, and he did what he did. So RDA or Covington gets the next title shot. If RDA gets the title shot, I'd like to see Covington versus Darren Till. That'd be a very good test for Darren Till to see exactly where he's at in the whole, well-roundedness of MMA, because Covington's a great wrestler. He's a tough guy. He's going to slug it out. He's a big physical guy. It'd be a great test for Till. Another fight at welterweight, Robbie Lawler versus Jorge Masvidal. Both guys coming off of a loss. That would, Lawler's probably not going to jump right back into it. He has the injury now, so I'm not sure how long he'll be out. But eventually, Lawler versus Masvidal will be a great fight. Middleweight, basically all these fights are going to be in the first 2 months of 2018. Whittaker Rockhold for the middleweight championship. Can't wait for that fight. It's already scheduled for February 10th. Romero versus Branch, I believe, is February 24th. That's a decent fight. I think that'll be a great fight, to be honest. Jacare Souza versus Derek Brunson, January 27th. Another great fight that's scheduled. Moving on to lightweight. Obviously, Cormier is fighting Volkan Ozdemir in 15 days. UFC 220. Can't wait for that one. Of course, the main event is going to be insane. I'll get to that in a second. So DC Volkan, I think the winner of that fight should fight Alexander Gustafsson, but it all depends what happens with John Jones. Worst case scenario, John Jones is still going to be out for another 6 months to a year. So I have Alexander Gustafsson fight the winner of DC Volkan. Now, we could also see Daniel Cormier, if he wins this fight against Volkan, maybe possibly move up and fight the winner of Stipe versus Ngannou. I think if Stipe wins, I could see Cormier fighting Stipe. That would be a very interesting matchup. But I'm not sold on that. But it wouldn't surprise me one bit. I mean, Daniel Cormier's competed at heavyweight before. He's won the Strikeforce Championship back in 2012 or 11. But Stipe would be a tough test. But regardless, I could see Cormier doing it. Moving on to heavyweight. Obviously, Miocic versus Ngannou on the same card as Cormier Volkan. Miocic Ngannou. What do you say about that fight? Best heavyweight fight in the UFC in years. I mean, the closest thing I would say would be, Cain Velasquez versus Junior Dos Santos, and that's 5-6 years ago, 7 years ago, whatever. This is an amazing, amazing matchup. They have great backstories. Can't wait for this. The winner, does he face Cain Velasquez? I mean, the division, Werdum and Overeem, they're not really deserving of a title at this point, title shot. So Cain could definitely slide in there and fight the winner if he's healthy. If not, this is a fight that would be very interesting for Cain Velasquez. Fight Alistair Overeem. I think that would be an amazing title eliminator fight. Cain Velasquez versus Overeem. That's a fight we never got to see. That's a fight that would be very, very interesting, even at this point. So another fight to look forward to. That's it for this one, though. I'm going to put out a separate video for the female fighters. I'll probably do that tomorrow. I just wanted to go through all the divisions and talk about, all the fights that are, possible fights that could happen in 2018. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know what matchups you guys like, what matchups you would rather. That's it for this one. If you liked the video, subscribe. Check me out on Twitter at MMABoxingTalk1. Peace.